I was reading something in the Tao, or the 365 meditations from the Tao. And it was talking about how devotion naturally builds momentum. And I talked about this actually a year ago, so it was nice to see this in this book, because we always think of like discipline as being the highest on the totem pole for what we need to achieve our dreams. But I actually think it's devotion, being devoted, and through that devotion, discipline sprouts from devotion. And I talked about uniting all our elements, so mind, body, spirit, heart, and then you have full devotion. Like if you want to be a track star and you see it in your mind, let's say you want to be the fastest runner in the world, and you're like, you tell yourself, I see it in the mind, I feel it in the heart, but then you don't eat in a way where the fastest person in the world would eat. You haven't united all the elements, right? You may say, hey, I want to be a very creative individual. But if you only say it in your heart, but you don't unite all the elements of the mind, body, spirit, you don't have devotion. So you're going to fall short. You're not going to bring it to full execution, right? This is why I say I approach what I do like a professional athlete. I approach what I do like a professional athlete. Very seriously. It may not seem serious because, we just come here, we just chill. But the way I structure my life, the way I live my life, everything I'm doing, I'm like, I can't come here and talk and expose myself to thousands of people talking freely without living my life in a certain way, by not uniting my mind, body, spirit, and heart. It is necessary, right? And that's how we have devotion. Without devotion, now we're just kind of toying between motivation and discipline, and then we lose motivation, and then sometimes we may not have the devotion to keep the discipline going, because now we're like, why am I even being disciplined? What's the point, right? So it's like being devoted. And that devotion can literally just be like the position you see yourself in, the higher version that you see for yourself. If you have a religious background or a spiritual faith, you could say it's the version that God already destined for you to be, the person you're supposed to be, and just be devoted to that. Maybe it's a singular mission. Maybe it's something that is a little bit more like tangible next year, where you're like, I'm devoted to like getting promoted and being whatever, the CEO of this company, or, the product manager of this brand. That's my devotion. Now, what does it take to achieve that? Well, there's elements of the mind, there's elements of the body, there's elements of the spirit, and there's elements of the heart that all come into play. Without that, you do not have devotion. Without that, you just have a dream, right? You're not applying yourself to the dream. You're just being a child. I talked about this before, but children dream and it's beautiful. But as we get older, we become more mature. We have experiences, we gain knowledge, we develop skills, and we get to apply those to our dreams and then create reality, right? But without applying all that we are attaining to those dreams, then it's nothing, right? Without uniting the mind, body, and spirit, we don't really have nothing. We don't have devotion, and we'll get lost. We won't produce results. We won't execute. We won't create the evidence. And like we talked about earlier, we'll get into a pattern of starting, quitting, and not really ever producing the evidence, and then having less faith in ourselves, and then procrastinating. I almost did it last year. I was like, I'm getting a little bit bored. I'm going to pivot and do something completely different. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to continue. You're just going to change the form of expression, and you're going to do something different. That's how I started getting more into live streaming, but I had to catch myself in a pattern. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. We're devoted. Devotion, mind, body, spirit, heart. And devotion naturally builds momentum. An object in motion stays in motion, right? When you have devotion, you're in motion. You wake up and you have a reason for what you're doing. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym. Oh, but I'm devoted to this version of myself, so I'm going to go to the gym. Sometimes, the motivation of just having a great stomach isn't enough motivation to get you into the gym in the morning. But your devotion to whatever life you're trying to build, and that life requires a healthy physical aspect from you, well, that should get you into the gym, or that should get you running, Like I told myself today, I'm like, I got to do something really strong for my body today. I could feel it, had a rough weekend. I'm like, we need that, you know, we need that, right? Do I need to lift weights to talk? Like on the surface, it doesn't make sense. No, but actually I do. My body needs that release. My mind needs that release. So then I can come back here and speak with clarity, devotion, mind, body, spirit. If you don't have those things devoted into something, you don't have devotion, right? You just have a dream. You just have an idea. And maybe you actually don't want that thing that much. Maybe when you actually think about it and you're like, oh, I actually don't want to really bring my mind, body, and spirit and heart to this thing or this person. Oh, maybe this wasn't even for me. Maybe I thought I just wanted it, right? And now we shift our vision, which is fine, you know, which is fine. Sometimes we have goals, sometimes we have plans that were like more things that influenced us versus more things that came from here. And then sometimes we recognize that, you know, like, oh, okay, I thought I wanted that, but that was somebody else's dream. It wasn't really my dream. That was somebody else's dream. When you're experiencing procrastination or you don't want to do something and you just do it, usually by the time you're 30% into the thing, you're in a swing of things, right? Like think about all the times you never wanted to go to the gym and then you go to the gym and now you're in the swing of things and now you're feeling great, you know? Sometimes I actually don't know what I'm going to talk about on live stream. I'm like, I'm not prepared. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. 20 minutes in, I'm just in a flow. I'm like, oh, we vibing out. I feel different. I feel good. Let's go. Let's hang out. It is what it is, right? So I don't rely on motivation. Unfortunately, motivation is it's something that comes and goes, you know. We can create it, but sometimes it's hard even to create at will. You need devotion, you know, something that you're devoted to, a reason, a responsibility. You know, think about parents. What are they devoted to? They're devoted to taking care of their child. They're devoted to being a good parent, right? They may not want to go to work. They may not want to do all these things, but they are devoted to taking care of another human being, right? It's devotion. It's responsibility. What are you devoted to? What are you responsible for? You know, motivation, when it comes, use it. Just like I grew up sailing. A lot of people don't know a lot of things about me. I grew up sailing. I grew up on a boat, sailed. You know, understand? We raced on the weekends and stuff. I grew up on a boat. My stepdad had a boat. And when we were sailing, we sailed far. Like we sailed islands and we'd stay on these islands. But when we were sailing, sometimes there was no wind. We really couldn't move. We would just be chilling. But when the wind came, boom, get into action, cast the sails, go. And we used that wind to bring us to our destination, right? Same thing with motivation. When you feel it, use it. But when you don't, you got to find other ways to keep moving forward. On the sailboat, what do we have? We have a little motor that can push us in the direction, or we just be going slowly in that direction, or we be just accepting the idle time. But when it comes to your dreams, definitely just get into devotion and structure. Create a structure. Don't wake up in the morning and not know what you have to do. Have a checklist. So you don't have to spend energy thinking, what am I supposed to do today? You already know. You planned it yesterday. Now you can just get into action. Because if you're sitting there, oh, what should I do? Okay, maybe I should do this right now, or maybe I should do that right now. Now you're having decision fatigue about what you're going to do, and you may not even do anything. You may waste time. Have a direction for your day. Have a structure for your week. Have a day where you rest. Saturdays is rest for me. Saturdays I go into the city. Saturdays I go to cafes and I write. Saturdays I meet up with random people and just have lunch, catch up with people. I do that every single week. Saturdays is my off day. But Monday to Friday, even though I don't work for anybody, I clock in like a 9 to 5er. I'm in my studio at 8 a.m. I'm here till 4 p.m. I clock in like a normal job. It may look like I just chill. Oh, I just chill. Some people think I smoke a lot of weed. That's why it may look like that. I clock in. I enjoy what I do. Sometimes I'm not motivated to do it, but I clock in. I create structure. You know what I mean? Monday to Friday. Simple. You have to create structure throughout your weeks. You have to create something where you have to show up to that instead of leaving it for chance. You create structure and you can still be free within your own structure, right? It's not to If I just give myself complete freedom, I actually will do less and I'll feel less free, you know? Because I'm not free in the mind. The mind's worried because I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I falling behind? So when I create structure, I can dance within my own structure, my own boundaries, right? And I can prepare. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. I wrote in my notes today, I want to have 2 weeks of YouTube videos, 3 a week, all done, scheduled, so I don't have to post them manually, all scheduled, posted, tweets, Instagram posts, all my content I want scheduled for a few weeks ahead of hand. That's what I'm preparing for right now, right? Creating that structure, creating that system. So I'm like, there's a few weeks, because in March, I'm going to Japan. And while I'm in Japan, I'm not going to be able to be streaming with you, but I don't want to disappear. So 2 months before, now we're preparing for that, right? Creating the structure. Last week, I was super motivated. Today, I was not motivated this morning. I was not motivated. My mind was even looking for excuses to be distracted. Oh, click on this video. Then I was like, no, pull yourself back, right? Sometimes you gotta tell the flesh, no, come back. Watch later, Thank you for tuning in, but I'd love for you to consider something. Joining us behind the scenes of the #1 chill spot. This is a place where you get exclusive content, guided meditations, a space for members to chat, plus all the stream replays are exclusively in our chill space, and you get access to our stream calendar so you do not have to miss another stream. This is a ad-free, distraction-free space, a safe place where you can go on the internet. It's a space curated just for you. Mobile app and desktop version available. Just click the link in the description. I'd love to see you there.